This is the very famous Lone Rider headlight protection, and that symbol you see on the box says it all, don't you? If you see these on GS's, very distinctive with the light on behind it. So the first thing is the very well-known faceplate itself. It's very distinctive, very unusual. So we'll unwrap that in a minute. You then get some instructions. Because I've already fitted mine, I know these are absolutely frightening. These put total fear into you. An exploded view, very, very useful, very well drawn. But it's better not to look at it at this stage. Here are the other instructions. I got in a bit of a mess with them. Let's start. Number one, you got the two brackets. You put the brackets in, ever so easy, put it onto the bike. No, it isn't. Depending exactly which bike you've got. Done. Piece of cake. So we'll come back to that. And then you get a nice neck warmer and a key ring, some stickers, a white instead of the orange, in case of some countries don't allow it. I'm sure Britain allows it. And then the brackets and the bolts. So it looks easy. It really does look easy. And I think now I've done one, I think there's an easier way of doing it. I ended up taking off the side panels, the beak, everything to get to the bolt that I couldn't find, or the place. So I'll show you that as we go through. So let's open these up, because it's Mike's bike we're doing today, and then Goddy's bike later on. So I've done mine, didn't want to film it, it was so difficult. Now I think I've got my head around it. This is with all the covers off, and now you can see that that exploded diagram isn't really needed. It's very useful to have it because most of the complex parts are already all bolted together correctly. And all of these bolts, which caused me a lot of concern at first, thinking, where do these go? Well, most of them are not needed. The idea with this is that you can have, I don't know why anybody would spend this much money, because it's probably the most expensive one there is available, but you can have just the grille on the front or just the plexiglass see-through screen, or you can have them together. And although that one opens that way, it's locked there at the top, so it looks difficult because of the variations. But who is going to throw away a part of this or not fit it? The most difficult part, I'll show you now, is these brackets. There's an 8mm bolt that fits in there, and it goes into an 8mm socket, an empty socket on your bike. And this 8mm stainless steel comes up through and bolts it to the frame. That is what threw me, and I think it'll throw everybody with the GS if you have the riding lights. But now I've done it, I'm quite sure there's a very simple way of bolting it on. So the only way to keep the bolt in, apart from taping it, which we found not very good, is just run some thick contact glue around. And then it can fit in the...
I'm going to get high on this now.
That's it. And it goes down that way. Squash in. And just wipe off the excess glue. So that it's got some adhesion into the bracket itself, otherwise you'll be really stuck. On the first one, we've got one side in. We kept dropping it because we're two old men. We just can't.
One's incompetent, one's incontinent.
Brilliant. Now we'll position it in the bike. Let's see if we can show you where it has to position. This is a difficult part because you have a hexagonal hole there, and on the GS it is filled with the lights. Here it is empty, ready to go on the GSA because the lights are lower down. And I took all my panels off, which would be easier, but it's a long job. So we found a method of doing it and dropping the bracket into there. This nut is tack glued into the bracket, so whether we can slide it into position. Which I can't do at all. The only method we can think of, because there's an extra part here, is to use a car tool, a plastic tool, to just spread the bracket a little bit, and now we've got the bolt in. You can't do it without that. So without some method of just pulling the plastic over it, otherwise you've got to take all the panels off. As long as it's not crossing, that's okay, that'll do, mate. Just to hold it on. So now we try the... What we've done is make it so that we can hinge it. So we've taken off these, whatever they're called, mushroom sort of fittings, taken them off and put in a stainless steel bolt so that we can hinge the whole thing together. And then with silicone grease, it clicks in. So I've not done that on mine. I think that's a better idea. Mine's fixed. But the Adventure is so different than the GS. It will start again. Excellent. Worth it. I've only got to do one more now.
Pull that back. Pull that back. Put this in to receive it.
Yeah, but you've got to pull it back with a lever.
And then once it's in, it's received in there.
Did you get that in already?
Mm-hmm.
How did he get it in without a lever?
You've got big, fat, stubby, muscle-trained fingers.
But you couldn't get yours in, mate. Whatever we did, until you put that lever really, and then we couldn't screw it right up, Goddy.
He's done it.
And that's to receive that.
Is it going in?
Yeah, that's it. It's hand tight now. Sorry about that.
Well, you were the great Nom, so you've now been surpassed by the great Goddy. Can I go straight line, Goddy? Yep.
There's more bikes here than at BMW. Are you wanting to go home now then?
No, it's good to...
Oh. This is by far the best method. I don't... Using the spacers down there and not having the sockets, or whatever you call them, in the bottom, and just using it. It's so... You can make it so tight that it's not going to come apart.
This is where I had problems before on this one. That's it, thank you. It still feels...
Yeah, but it will. It will.
Once you've done one, and
It will.
And you've got to pull that out, yeah.
Meant the ones underneath.
Oh, yeah, and I can...
Yeah, that's okay. Brilliant.